Hey, welcome back, investor. We've got our January Rotoro Capital event where we're going to be going over our 2026 giving plan. So, Happy New Year. It's a time when a lot of people are making New Year's resolutions to get in shape, lose weight, do better on their business, make more money, be better parents, better people, whatever it is. And we thought that we wanted to share something that we always put on our annual vision board is giving back more and being able to systematize that. We're all high achiever kind of business people. And when something gets overlooked or just gets pushed to the back of the mind, it gets a little informal, and sometimes we don't get around to doing it. So making giving goals really intentional for 2026 is the goal of this webinar. We're going to give you a couple of our goal setting systems building. It's very values driven workshop, but we've got some tools so that you can take consistent action with both your time and your money. So what you're going to walk away with, you'll have your giving archetype, like what type of giving back do you want to do? There are different goals and people fall into certain categories. So you figure out what your archetype is, what that means for your own 2026 giving goals, and some tools for like the vision board and the frameworks that we use in our own giving. And then we've got a quiz that you can take that kind of helps you identify some areas where you're already taking action that maybe you could expand on those. And so by the end of this, you'll have a much better idea of how you want your 2026 to look. So my name is Emma Powell. We are Rotoro Capital Investments. I have my partners, CEO Chris Borden, Harmony Borden, our Director of Investor Relations. We have Lisa Moore, our Chief Investment Officer. Zasha Smith is our Chief of Marketing. Troy Powell is our Chief Technical Officer. I am the Director of Content. And that's what we are, what we're coming together to do. We do different kinds of passive investments. And our goal is to help you make more money so that you have more money to be able to donate, but also so that you can free yourself up from having to worry about money so that you can also maybe free up your time. So time freedom, financial freedom, and then giving back is what we're all about here. So we're going to turn it over to our CEO, Chris, who's going to tell us about the first steps of starting to build your plan.
Thank you very much, Emma. What a beautiful opening. I think before we kind of go into doing more in 2026, which is what we're talking about, I think I want to pause for a moment and talk a little bit more about something I think most people underestimate. So you're probably already more generous than you give yourself credit for. I think for many people, myself included, like we look at generosity and it doesn't always necessarily show up on that line item on your P&L or on your tax statement. So a lot of times it shows up as like time or access or mentorship or maybe just stepping in quietly and carrying on some responsibilities that no one else potentially sees. So today is for me anyway, it's about naming more of that because I think clarity with that starts with like recognition of things that you've done. So I think for right now, I want you to take a moment right now. If you're using a worksheet, this is where the worksheet comes into play, right? You have your goal setting. I want you to think back to the year we just had, 2025, and write down 3 ways that you've supported others. So no filtering, no comparisons. This is just you being raw on kind of again looking at and rewarding the things that you've already done. So these can include, let's say, financial gifts, donations, tithings. Sorry, there's a bunch of noise going on in my house. Financial gifts, donations, tithings, maybe helping another family friend or family member. Again, I talked about it before, but mentoring, opening a door where maybe a door didn't exist for someone else, volunteering time, maybe expertise, and then just showing up consistently when it matters. Like those are the things that you're kind of looking at. These definitely are not small things, but I think too often these are things that we take for granted. So I think here's the shift that I want to make in retrospect to sort of like framing and getting your mindset correct for this. Like generosity is not just about how much you give, it's about how much you naturally share with others. And that's why we're kind of starting with this giving archetype. So think about it this way: like some of you are builders, so you think long term, you care about sustainability, maybe legacy structures that outlast, and some of you are more like empowerers. So you draw on helping other people rise directly. So you speak about the help that you've given to other people. Again, opening those doors, maybe education or opportunities, like those transformations that matter deeply to you. And then some of us are connectors, and some of us are all of these. So it's like kind of just looking at it and breaking it down. But some of you are connectors, like community and like collaboration of community. That's kind of your language. You give through relationships, networking, and sharing support. Like, so these are all different ways that you can look and segment yourself into. Or again, some of us do a little bit of all of that. I think some of us are like sustainers. So you are consistent, loyal, and dependable. So like all of those different things, like you're the one that quietly shows up month after month, year after year. All of these matter. So none of these are better than the others, and some get intermixed with each other. You do Some of us are going to do multiple aspects of it, but they're just simply different expressions of basically the same value. So I think when we're looking at it, and then when we're looking back, when I look back at my own journey, I can definitely see patterns of how I gave long before like the formal plan. And there's a lot that on the formal side that we're doing. I know my wife has been doing it since I met her, on different aspects of it. But I think too often times we don't necessarily look at like even segmenting it down smaller, the smaller acts of kindness that we do each day, and the smaller portions of us giving that we do each day. So uh, I think that there's definitely there's a lot of work that we're going to do here. It's not necessarily inventing a new version of you, but it's definitely bringing attention and intention to what already exists in your kind of your day-to-day format of just giving and sharing which with each other. But before you add more goals, more numbers, more structures, I think it's good to kind of start here. Acknowledge what you're already doing. And again, I can't elaborate this enough. I think too often times we don't do that. We don't count the wins. We don't acknowledge all of the little things that we're doing and understanding the potential impact, large impact this could be having on other people's lives, and understand why that matters to you. Name these different scenarios or archetypes that I mentioned that best fit you, because when generosity aligns with identity, it stops feeling like an obligation and starts feeling more like a strategy, and it comes more from a place of building something that can be more sustainable. And again, it's more rewarding when you count those opportunities and options that are innately coming from you, and you're not glossing over the little things, because the little things, as you compound the little things, they start to become a bigger thing. And I want everybody to count those little wins and those little things. So with that said, I'm gonna kind of pass it on to Zasha. She's gonna help you take this, that just identify and turn these into clear priorities for 2026.
Thank you, Chris. So, Chris talked about reflecting on 2025. And like you mentioned, a lot of people are kind of just rushing to set new goals without looking back. So, I'm going to be talking about recommitting to 2026 and kind of identifying where your priorities are and giving it a plan, because oftentimes we don't really think about giving in a sense that we have to do more of it, but what are we currently doing now? And then what can we do better into 2026? Or how can we give not only monetarily, but your time? Because I know for a lot of us, time is very limited. And so we instantly think of how can we give more money? But a lot of times, if you can give more time, that's worth way more than the monetary donations. So we'll walk through 4 different categories of giving. And for me, I like to put things almost like a vision board, like a framework. So we're going to have 4 different areas of it. The first area is structured giving. So that could be reoccurring gifts to nonprofits, different causes that you like, and charities. So if you think about it, I know there's a lot of times we get like envelopes in the mail, or we know of different nonprofits that have these programs and systems in place where you can do auto debits. So things like that, even if it's a small amount, you don't really have to think about every couple weeks or every month. I think if you already have it set up, you're kind of giving without it really affecting you're just counting that into your expenses from the start. So there's structured giving. Then there's faith-based giving. So like Chris mentioned, it could be tithings, missions, church projects as well. And so if you go to church every week, you're already, donating to the pot. But it could also come into, like, I know for us, our church is rebuilding their gym. So they're constantly asking for any tradespeople, plumbers. My husband's a plumber, so I volunteered him to go and help. But it's things like that where you're giving your time and your field of expertise that truly is, you're helping the church with whatever they have to do on the grounds, but also spending time with the other parishioners and the people there and getting to know what their struggles are and potentially helping them through things like that. And I know a lot of times when you're doing like even things like we do beach cleanups here in Hawaii. So you're just walking, picking up trash, but you're also getting to know that person next to you and seeing how else you can give back to them. And like I mentioned, it doesn't have to be even support. It could just be listening to them for a while. And that brings us to the next box, would be personal. And I know we all have family members that we're there for their support. Maybe some friends too, your kids in the education system, if your kids are still going to school, the teachers there, the office members. You could start volunteering at the schools. I know for me, when my youngest was going to school, I was very, very busy. I hardly had time to go to any of the events or volunteer. But now our school I'm at almost every PTA meeting. I'm able to volunteer when they need extra hands for different events there. And nowadays, now that we have our own businesses, we're able to sponsor things like their fun run. So there's so many different ways that you can be giving. I think you just pick whichever one works for you. And the last one is spontaneous giving. We just had the holidays. So I know there's a lot of times where there's like, what do you call them? Bell ringers and things for Salvation Army. And, just, okay, if you have some cash or write a quick check, donate it there. There's oftentimes when you're at the checkout of like a Foodland or like a grocery store, they'll have the little case with the coins. I'm like, I don't know many people who carry coins anymore, but just little things like that where it's spontaneous. If you see it, then and you're in that moment to give, that's often a way you can also help other causes that you might not know really what it's going towards, but you know that it's something good and maybe something a company you don't regularly give towards. So that's one way you can be a little bit more spontaneous with your giving as well. So like I mentioned, just to recap, there's the 4 different ones that I keep on a vision board: structured, faith-based, personal, and spontaneous. And you, for this upcoming year, can just pick one that is a priority and then kind of think about an amount that you want to tie to it. And that can be an amount of money. It could be amount of hours as well. So with that, we're going to hand it over to Lisa to go over how you can create that plan.
All right. Thank you, Sasha. So starting off, Sasha had made the comment of something of, different charities not knowing how much that money goes to, how much of your donation could potentially go to that charity. For me, that was something when I started looking at charities and who I wanted to donate to, that was something that I wanted to know. I wanted to know, okay, if I'm giving them money, how much of that is actually going to that, that cancer research, that hospital, that whatever it is. And there are some websites out there, a couple of them, charitynavigator.org, guidestar.org. And you can Google, how do I know how much is going to a charity? And there's several other websites. But if if you do want to donate to a charity and you want to make sure it's going there, those are websites that you can go to check and make sure, hey, how much of my money is going to the charity, how much of it's going to operations, things like that. So when it comes to tracking those things, some people love to track things. Some people love to have spreadsheets. Other people hate that. They don't want to. They avoid spreadsheets and they avoid anything that involves having to keep track of stuff. But as many people may know, if you aren't tracking things, if you aren't keeping an update on where things are, whether that's your budget, your finances, anything, it's hard to know where money's going, how things are going. And, as people say, what gets measured gets managed. So knowing where your money is going. So if you are someone where like, I want to be able to give back and I want to donate, and you're trying to figure out, okay, how can I do that? I love how both my partners, Chris and Zasha, had mentioned, it doesn't just have to be money. So the first thing you can do is look at is, okay, do I have time to donate to things? Do I have time to give my time or my skills? And there's a lot of different charities that are always looking for things, whether it's a church, local food banks. I'm very involved with the foster care, and they have all different programs where you can come, and if there's a mom that has foster kids and can't bring the kids to all the events, you can help her shuttle kids to the same events that you're doing. Helping with yard work, just helping with things that are time related. So that's one thing. If you're like, hey, I financially really can't give anymore, but I could potentially give my time for something, thinking like that of, are there things within my community that I could give my time to that can help make an impact? And if you are looking to donate money, there's different ways to look at it. If you're just doing it because you're like, oh, I feel like I should, the odds of you either continuing to do it or actually really feeling fulfilled from it are probably going to be pretty slim. So you really want to think about like, what are causes that matter to you, whether that's personal, whether that's you've had someone that you've lost to a specific kind of cancer, or that you've dealt with in your own life, or it could be completely unrelated to you personally, but you just feel very strongly towards things that you want to be able to help in that. So looking at thinking like, what are things that I'm passionate about, and what are things that really kind of drive me? And if I give to them and if I donate to them, I'm going to feel more fulfilled than just giving to some charity that, not that it's not helping, but may not have as much of an impact for you personally. So thinking about that, what are those things that kind of drive you, and you will feel that you're doing more and giving more and feeling more rewarded for it. You'll be more apt to continue to do it, to continue to donate, and to continue to look for more things that you can help with. For me, when I find something that I'm passionate about, I'm always finding more ways. Okay, how can I help this organization, this charity, this cause more, just because it's something that drives me and I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy being able to continue to give back and grow how I give back. And if you do want to track things, you can get complicated on it, or you could just be as simple. You could start a spreadsheet and have, here's my charities I want to donate to, here's how much I want to donate, here's why. That definitely is good. But if you're someone that's like, that just seems too much, you can just use the Notes app in your phone. Write down a couple charities that you'd like to donate to. And you can set up auto. Most charities now, you can do auto from your credit card or bank account each month. You can do it certain times of year. But having it written down somewhere and having something that you can go to and be like, okay, what charities do I want to give to? What charities do I give to? And being somewhat organized on that, to me, just really helps. It's going to help you stay more organized, and it'll more than likely help you continue to donate, because you'll be able to see, okay, these are the charities that I want to donate to. Or if you just set up auto ones, then you you're giving, you're donating, and it's not something that's another chore for you that you feel like. And most people, you can do $10 a month for this on an auto every month, auto donation for charities, things like that. One of my charities, it's a yearly thing. I'm a member of a turtle hospital that rescues turtles in Florida. And every year it's an annual thing. So it's easier because it's once a year. I get the notification, your renewal's coming up, and I don't have to worry about it. They send me, little basket of thank you for donating. But it's something that kind of just makes it easier that I don't have to worry about each month thinking, okay, what am I going to do this month? So those are ways that you can make it easier. If you're someone that wants to donate to different places, definitely writing it down so you can say, hey, I'd like to donate to this charity this month or give time for this one. Having it written down, whether that's in a notes app or that's in a spreadsheet, something like that, can help you keep track if you're someone that wants to really give to multiple places, give your time, give your money, things like that. Having that written down will definitely help you keep track of that. And then if you want, you can set goals. Hey, I want to donate X amount each year. And again, that could be all at once. That could be spread over monthly, quarterly, whatever. But setting goals, whether that's a dollar-based goal, a certain amount of hours of your time each week, month, quarter, year, a percentage of your pay, whatever it is. Or like Zasha's husband, she can donate her husband for X amount of hours a year to make sure that they're giving their time back. So there's different ways you can set those goals. And again, having those tracked, having those written down will make it easier to know, okay, if I want to give X amount of money, then you can make sure, okay, my goal is $100. You can track that. It's $1,000. It's whatever that may be, 10 hours. Just having it written down and keeping track of, okay, what have I donated? And there's so many stores we go to now that's like, hey, do you want to round up for this charity? Do you want to round up for this charity or donate here? Even those can be ways to do it. Those are probably a lot harder to track, but those are also typically smaller donations that are more, as Zasha had said, on the kind of the spontaneous side of things. So making sure you kind of have those goals and know what you want to do is going to help just be more successful in continuing to make sure you're giving back if that is something that you want to make sure you're doing every year. And like I had said, making sure that it's something tied to something that you that means something to you. And that can be just helping family. If you have family or friends that are struggling or going through something, are dealing with medical issues, whatever, donating your time or money to them is still donating, is still making an impact. To me, anytime, whether it's somebody whether that's a friend, a neighbor, or a complete stranger, giving your time, helping people. A lot of hospitals, they have places where families can stay if their family members are there giving treatment, and you can donate stuff to them. You can donate money for meals or clothes or things like that. So there's just so many ways that you can give back and that you can donate. And then also doing it with your business, if that's something you want to do, business or personal, both sides are good. Obviously, it can be a good tax write-off, but it also is just a good thing to do and makes you feel good. So what else? Oh, don't feel like you need to. A lot of people set these giant goals right off the bat, whether that's something for working out or losing weight or whatever. And they start off and they're like, okay, I'm going to donate 10 hours of my time every week to do stuff. And then they can only do 2 hours and they start to feel discouraged that they can't reach that. And then they just end up falling off completely and not doing anything. So be realistic on your donation of that time, of that money, to make sure that you can sustain that and achieve that. Start small. If you're like, hey, I think I can do $20 a month. Well, if you can, good. But if you're like, hey, maybe start with 10 and see how that is, and then increase things. Or time-wise, hey, I want to do 5 hours a quarter. Start with that and make sure that you can achieve that. If you start small, it'll still make an impact. It'll still be giving, and you'll be more apt to continue to do it. And then as you're doing it, if you're like, hey, okay, I do have more capacity, I can donate more money or I can give more time, you can slowly start to grow that. But don't feel like it's got to be this big thing. Or even if you aren't consistent, it doesn't have to be perfect. Any sort of giving back, any sort of donations is going to make an impact and is going to help. So I think starting off and being imperfect and just doing something is a lot better than trying to be super structured and then you fall off that structure and then nothing happens. So, but Harmony, she is going to take over now. And
Thank you. Yeah, so I want to go over how to actually fund giving back, because wanting to give more is always the easy part. It's funding it consistently is where a lot of people tend to get stuck. So I want to look at using like your SDIRA or things like that. Unfortunately, it's not something all of us get to just do right away, right? You have to be 73 or older, current IRS rule. So if you if you have an SDIRA and you want to send money directly, you have to have it go to a qualified 501c3 charity. You can do, I believe it's like 100,000 per year up to that. It counts towards your required minimum distributions, and it's not taxable to you. Your Roth IRA, as long as a long-term giving tool. Strategy can come in where you can grow real estate inside your Roth IRA, SDIRA, right? You can let it compound tax-free and use future distributions for faith-based giving, scholarships, family-directed philanthropy, legacy gifts later for later in life, things like that. And there's some others. So definitely check with your CPA to see how your wherever you have your self-directed or your Roth IRAs, check with them. But you definitely need to qualify age-based as well. A lot of people do get exhausted holidays and a lot of those times where they start to realize, oh, like Zasha said, they're ringing the bell out there, and these days especially, we don't carry change. You might be scanning the QR code or something, and you don't really like. People are like, oh, I don't have. You really need to account for things. Things have gotten expensive, so you're giving from leftover money, and you're like, do I really have that to give? So you want to plan, because that's not really a plan, and you want to not feel guilty. And that's something that I know, like I have people in my life that feel guilty about that kind of stuff. So I feel like when you are able to tie things to, I like to say, and I've been big on this lately, give every dollar a job, then it's a lot easier to account for. And then whether you're busy or not busy, it feels calmer. Generosity feels easier, and it becomes consistent, and it's less guilt driven. And then when somebody's out there ringing the bell, you're not going to feel guilty by saying, oh, I already gave, thank you. Or you can just say, thank you for being out here, but I already gave. Honestly, I don't feel guilty when I do that, because I know I give a lot of my time and a lot of my energy and a lot of my dollars. All of them are accounted for. So you want to use any other, giving your money a job, whether you have it in some kind of real estate or you're using some kind of annual or quarterly returns for bigger impact, whether it's a one-time need or things that matter. You want to make sure that you are letting your money grow and you are accounting for it. Like I said, you're giving every dollar a job. So you want to make sure it's inside a structured account, and then you direct it intentionally so that you have it a part of your legacy, and you're going to give it a different path. You're making sure that your money is working and it's staying aligned with what you want it to do. When you're plan and you're giving, it's not competing with your lifestyle. You're not over here overgiving and feeling guilty, and your energy is exhausting, especially the holidays when you're like, oh my gosh, did I give enough? Did I not give enough? You want to definitely ask yourself, is this making sense with my monthly income, my annual income? And like the girls, and I've heard them all say, you want to plan it out. There's a lot of programs out there, just like our own with Elevate, oneelevate.org. It's ONE, elevate.org. We do have a monthly subscription you can do as well. You can start small and account for it. If you do have your retirement plans, like I said, make sure you're checking with your CPA and make sure that you are qualified to be able to use it, because you can also be penalized if you're not using it correctly. And then ask yourself, are you accounting, and does every dollar have a job? And it doesn't have to be a large amount. It can be a very small amount. Whether it be $5 a month, $10 a month, start small. And just from personal experience, the more that you structure and you include it in your finances, it gives you such a sense of relief and you're not feeling rushed. And there's no emotional, it's a lot more intentional. And I feel like when your money's working quietly in the background for you, it stops feeling like a tough decision when you see them out there ringing the bell, like Zasha says. So I think that it's just a part of how you feel and how your goals are, and being intentional and not trying to purposely feel generous just for one day. It's a system that you're building, and you're feeling generous every day and not guilty. And I think this is why what Troy's about to go over, and he's going to share, matters just as much. So once giving is funding intentionally, the next steps will feel simple.
So I wanted to touch on a couple of things. So we'd been talking a little bit about automating your giving, setting up automatic bank deposits. There's a number of other ways as well that you can do that. There's a fund called a donor advised fund where you can actually just donate your money in there. They'll make sure that your funds get paid out to the different institutions you want to invest in or that you want to give to. And then at the end of the year, you get a nice tax record that covers all the locations you've donated to. Another thing I wanted to kind of mention that goes along with automation is some of you may feel like that you don't have enough money, you'd like to give more, but you don't have the means to do so. And it's really just automating giving in your life in general. So for example, you're walking around in your neighborhood and you notice that there's some trash on the ground, or that there's, one of your neighbors is putting up Christmas lights or whatever it might be, is just get in the habit of looking for those opportunities to just serve other people. Picking up that trash, people may not see that you're picking up the trash, but the more people that do that, the more it's going to benefit everybody else that's around you. And the more you look for those opportunities to just give and to have that giving heart, that giving spirit, maybe helping somebody out at the grocery store. You're not actually giving anything monetarily, but you are giving to that person. You are making a difference in other people's lives. So I do encourage you to try to find ways to automate your giving just in your daily lives. And as you find more financial means, as the world is giving back to you because of how much you're giving to them, you'll notice that you have more and more means to be able to help more and more people. And those opportunities will just surface themselves to where you're needed the most, and where your money and your means are most needed to help your community and to help the world in general around you. So I do encourage you to try to find ways to just automate what you're currently doing. If you feel like you want to give more, just get that automation built into your life. There are systems like the donor advised funds, like all these electronic systems, but there's also the system within you that will help you to be a better giver. Emma, did you want to wrap things up, or?
Love to wrap things up. So we've got some stuff that we have been doing over the last couple of years, volunteering in various ways. And I love to look back on these and just kind of remind ourselves like how far we've come, and just with our ability to give time, teaching, helping, all the different ways that we volunteer and donate. And we want to share that with you as a potential investor. We are one of the places that you can diversify your investments into, and we mostly focus on the debt aspect. So it's otherwise known as an income fund, because we pay pretty consistent returns. Obviously, nothing is guaranteed. Consult your financial advisor, and all investment carries the risk of loss. But when you're looking for something that gives you like a base layer of foundation, lending money to others comes back with regular payments, kind of like being the bank. So that's what we do here at Retoro, is allow you to have some sort of an income coming in that might be able to free you up, especially if you're in a job or coming to the tail end of your career and you would love to have more time to do more, or another source of income where you can give more while you keep working. Totally up to you how you want it to look, but just hopefully we gave you some ideas of what that could look like, some ideas on how you get your money working so that you can have a bigger impact. If you would like to take the quiz for your archetype, is over at retorocapitalinvestments.com/giving-back-quiz. And that will put you into a category to help you figure out like what it is that you can do to continue growing what you're already doing, because it can feel overwhelming if you're not taking into account things that you're already kind of doing and then trying to maybe scale things that you're already interested in, and be creative about the way that that looks. Like Troy mentioned, like nobody's seeing you picking up the trash, right? And nobody's seeing you donate a check to the turtle rescue. But it might be something that you could say, hey, this really brings me a lot of satisfaction and joy. I really feel like I'm helping and putting good out there. I think sometimes when we're just writing checks, it can be disconnected and almost unfulfilling. And so finding ways to make sure that the check and the time are going to things that we really care about, that light us up, is really key to making sure that this thing sticks around, right? That we keep doing it and we keep committing to it. So we would love to have a phone call with you. Just go to partnerwithrci.com and you can jump on our calendar and hook up with one of us so that you can get a hold of us very easily right here. And then right here, take the quiz, jump on, book a call, and be sure if you do post anything like your vision board or your goals, like we would love for you to tag us at Rotoro Capital Investments on LinkedIn so that we can see what you're working on, because the more we share about what we're doing, the more ideas we give people and get people's minds thinking about it. It's kind of an anonymous donor kind of thing. I think a lot of people are thinking that they're not allowed to talk about this kind of stuff because it's asking for attention or it's asking for praise for doing something right. But at the same time, you have to remember that the less we talk about it, the less normal it is. So feel free to talk about it, tag us in it, and we would love to have a conversation with you. And we appreciate you coming and joining us tonight. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you next month.
Aloha.